Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Don't forget to like this video. And don't forget to click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified when there's a new upload. Here's the front page of the channel. The bottom arrow is pointing at the subscribe button that's normally red until you click on it, and this one turns white after you subscribe. And the top arrow is pointing to the bell. Now, the bell doesn't show up until after you click the subscribe button, and then the bell will show up, and that way you can be notified of new uploads. Our blog is texasrepublic.wordpress.com. Our website is thetexasrepublic.com. Our email address is oneyellowroseenterprises@gmail.com. Our YouTube profile is, this is the link, because YouTube doesn't allow us to have a customized URL until we have over a certain number of subscribers. And follow us on Twitter at Texas Republic for You and at We Are Texians. Check out our other videos and playlists. Republic of Texas RT documentary. Texas and other American states is under a military occupation. The Republic of Texas Forum of 2016. And describe the kind of people who would thrive in independent Texas. And so check them out.
If you need to use this to hammer on your head, don't hesitate. I'm not going to sit up here. Get at it. First of all, keep that microphone right.
Okay. Yes, sir. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to see some soldiers. You know, I was a little bit hesitant. You know, I've been in Texas all my life. I've been in Texas all my life. I was born and bred here, and I was a little opposed because, you know, I've heard a lot of things about Republic of Texas, but as I looked and I've seen a lot of times, even Christ himself, he had to go against the grain. Okay, and that took a lot of heart. And so when I came down here and visited the first time, I seen a lot of good hearts. And I seen a lot of good hearts who took a stand for their liberty, their freedom, and just fair justice. And I'm not into for the color. I believe the spirit has no color. And the spirit is what I see when I came here. And I seen and I seen the same spirit that I have. I've been a fighter all my life, whether conscious or unconscious. Okay. But something of what I did the last time I was here, what's your name? I'm sorry. Who spoke? No.
I think that's coming from way back there.
Who spoke last time I was here?
Oh.
Last time y'all had a meeting.
Jerry Laura.
Jerry Laura.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
Well, one thing
what you're talking about.
One thing I did identify, what I was very interested in things I heard, and I think the things that I saw that people fighting for truth and justice and taking a stand for liberty, and that's what I see Republic of Texas and you guys, that you took a stand, and very well known, very well known. Okay. And so I want to talk a little bit something about freedom and a little bit something about justice. How do we obtain results? How do we get to the bottom line? And what I've seen and experienced, a lot of my experiences come by being baptized a lot, dealing with the system. I've filed claims against a lot of, I've sued whole courts, I've sued anybody who the scriptures say, put nobody above that which is what? True. So anybody that, and I didn't know to the fact, I didn't have any experience in the court system, I didn't have any experience in anything. I worked all the time, and so I didn't find out until I was like, anything about the court system until about 1990. And so then I started looking at the different constitutions, and I didn't know there was, each state had a constitution. I didn't know that you had a federal constitution of the District of Columbia. I didn't know about the Constitution in Philadelphia, and it gave in 1776, along with the Declaration of Independence of 1776, they gave rights to men. And then the Constitution of the District of Columbia, 1786, enacted in 1787, it gave rights to persons of corporations. And the Constitution of 1886, and enacted in 1887, they gave rights to, I would say, the British, all caps. And so once I started looking at the different constitutions, and then I seen where Republic of Texas created their own bylaws to try to have that independence and liberty and create unity. Okay? And so now I begin to wonder, and I said, well, how do we get the results that we're looking for? How do we get back down to the basics? And then I started seeing the common denominator with Christ, the things he had to go through. You know, he told them he was the way, the truth, and the life. What they do to him? Crucified. Okay? But he was still King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and he still put butt, right? And that's why we're here today. Okay? So I said that had a different attitude, and I went to, and I was asked today, would you come and talk and kind of share some things with us, and how to take control of our entities. Remember, we're dealing with commerce. It's really all about debts and credits. To them. It's not even about the truth. It's about debts and credits. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with IRS accountings and CPAs and taking actually a fiduciary responsibility of your corporate account? How do you take control of that? Because everything you do is commerce. Everything you do. You know, we do bill of exchanges. What is a bill of exchange? What is mostly recognized as a bill of exchange? And I believe what? Federal Reserve note?
It's all about the money.
Yeah, you go. Yes, sir. It's all about, and the scriptures say, the love of money is the root of all what?
Evil.
Evil. So how about identifying how do they condition us to the commerce, and how do we get back control of that entity to the point where we get results? That's the key. I think everybody is looking for results. You don't go to bed at night not knowing you're going to wake up in the morning, right?
That's right.
So you're looking to wake up in the morning. So the key is, how do we get back to the fact where I can be liberated, I can protect my freedom, I can protect my family, my lineage, and have the success that I'm looking for. These are some of the things that I've asked myself questions is, how is it that we all basically look the same? We come from one same mold, right? But why there's so many divisions? And I asked the question, truth brings unity, a lot brings division all day long. So, do you think we had a God that said, hey, you know, he put an eye over here and a head over, an ear over here? No. Basically, we come from the same mold, right? And so, basically, we was designed to be what? Free. And I always ask the question, did God tell Moses to come down and ask Pharaoh what laws did he have to free the people? No, he didn't. He said, go down there and tell me to let my people go. Okay. And then when he went and he freed them, Moses went to the mountain to get 10 commandments for God's people. He didn't incorporate Pharaoh's laws, did he? No. So when you go back and look, it's our nature to be liberated. It's our nature to be free. It's our nature to be heirs and joint heirs with Christ. And it said, greater work should we do. What do that mean? What do that mean? So How can we accomplish the things of the Creator by being enslaved? You know? So you go back and you look, and you even look today, you know, you start seeing different things where people make color issue. Is the color issue or is the spirit issue? Think about it. You find a person that has the Spirit of God, that's a good person. You have a person that has the Spirit of the God of this world, that's a whole nother story, okay? It just don't, they're on two different levels, period. So the key is, how do we get back to being liberated and actually exercising our right to dominion, power, and authority? And how can we get to that if we're not exercising truth? You know, the scriptures say, by one man disobedient, we all fell what? Short of that glory. By one, we all fell short. And by one obedience, Jesus Christ, guess what? He liberated us. But what does that mean? How do I go back and identify those principles that would guarantee our success? You know, I always talk about, everybody know about the three little piggies? Anybody can go? Okay. I'm going to tell you something about the three little piggies. And I always tell it, and I hear people tell me, why you keep talking about the three little piggies? and the moral of the three little piggies, which little piggy built this house on the solid foundation? The third one, right? What happened to the first little piggy and the second little piggy that built their house on sticks and straw? Well, that's right. And what did they do? They ran into the third little piggy house because they didn't want to be pig feet, chitlins, and ham hocks, right? Okay. They were smart. They ran into the third little piggy house, and when the wolf came to huff and puff the third little piggy house, he couldn't what? He couldn't do it. You know why? It was built on a solid foundation. This is what I see. The Republican, hey, y'all guys took a stand. You took a stand for what's right. And hey, don't be ashamed, because it ain't the majority, it's always the minority that makes the difference, right? So I start seeing principles never change. All the other things, all the hustle hypes don't change. You know, I always say truth. The scriptures say that his word would not come back void, right? It also says heaven and earth should pass before his word. And it also says, if you do my will, I give you your what? Heart's desires. So the question is, we're all here today to have our heart's desires. And that is a divine situation. Because scriptures do say we wrestle not against what? Flesh and blood. We wrestle against what? Spiritual principalities in high and wicked places. So when it goes back to it, these are two spirits, good and bad. That's it. So the key is, how do we understand and get to that point? So right now we all under what? Grace and mercy. It's just grace and mercy. Somebody already paid the price. So how that incorporates in our liberation today? Good question. How do we apply those principles to the point that we are liberated and set free? To the point it liberates us and set us free. And that's the reason why I say it's just here to give us a thought process and understand the principles is what guarantee our success. And we apply the principles, and who gives the increase? Every time. God gives the increase. So the key is, how do I recognize those principles? Anybody ever seen the movie called Facing the Giants? You ever seen Happy Feet? You ever seen Lion King? Okay. If you really look at that movies and those movies, I had a stepbrother that I got off of drugs. And he was 7 years older than I was. And I called him and said, hey, I'm coming to take you to the movie. And he said, oh man, he was happy. So I picked him up, took him to the movie. I said, get your drink, get your soda pop, get your hot dog, popcorn, so we don't have to leave the movie, so we can watch the movie all the way through. We want to get out. So he got his popcorn there, we go to the movie. He looked, he said, oh man, you brought me to come see a cartoon? It was Lion King 1. Okay? So I said, shut up and watch the movie. So when I took him home, my stepmom called, she said, the next day, she said, what did you take him to go see? I said, Lion King. Yeah, he's walking around the house talking about Hakuna Matata. No worry free, Hakuna Matata, Hakuna Matata. And if anybody really know the movie, it's a cartoon, but the principles in that movie, it's just fantastic. He was an All-American football player. He was a very successful businessman. He had a business called Movies Unlimited, about 6 years. He used to move for Lady Crenbro, who owned the Crescent Hotel. Very, very great businessman, likable guy. But he just got caught up. So here, I'm saying here, how do we identify the principles and apply those principles in our everyday life to the point that we're liberated, it sets us free, and gives us the results. Then everybody has issues, right? It's just human nature. But how do we fix those issues? How do we identify the problem? Now, somebody told me, my dad was a pharmaceutical chemist. I was going to be a pharmaceutical chemist. And it would take me 3 pages to work one problem, geometry, and he'd come in and do it in 2 steps. And I'm like, how did you do that? Okay? The key is the teacher would teach us a long way, teach us the process. But as you get to know it, you can break it down real simple and get the same answer. Well, the same thing I see here. How do we apply those principles to the problem? That's the question. Because if you got a problem, you keep coming up with the same issues or the same problem, did you really know the problem? The problem always equals to the solution, right? Always. You can't take an ad and do it like timetables. That ain't gonna work. It's gonna come with different answers because the structure is timetables. It's not plus. Plus you add, times you multiply, right? So the key is, if you got a problem, you have to identify the real problem so you can come up with the right what? Answer. If the problem and the answer don't matches the problem or answer the problem, then do you really understand the problem? Don't make sense. Truth always makes sense. A lie never makes sense. You know, my stepmother used to tell me, I don't, excuse my French, but I done took some apples from Miss Jones and come down, and she used to tell me, she said, I used to say, how does she know I'm telling a story? She said, did you steal Miss Jones' apples? And I be trying to hold that eye because the nerve in his eye was John. So she knew. I'm like, no, it's said, look at that eye, John. Or I'm scratching my head. She knew all the signs. And I was like, how did she figure I was not telling the truth? Okay. Because there were certain fundamental principles that she knew me. So I look at the same stuff today. If we come to a solution or have a problem, how can we apply those principles that would give us our results? That's the question. I'm just making a question. And so, and I ask the question too, is why, you know, Scripture saying, all you're getting, if you get nothing else, get what? Understanding. If you can't understand the problem, how can you ever come to a solution? Did that make sense? Okay? So, truth always makes sense. A lie never makes sense. And so, these are the things that I wanted to talk about because you go back and look. A Chi-Chi can't be an eagle and the eagle can't be a Chi-Chi, right? And Chi-Chis don't run with the eagles don't run with Chi-Chis. Chi-Chi may get ate up, but the eagle don't even want to fool with the Chi-Chi because he's too little. You know, he want a big Simon, okay? So I asked the question, if you find eagles and you're an eagle, then you is the only bird, an eagle is the only bird that can fly above the storm. It can be stormy down here, but an eagle can fly above the storms. And I look at you guys, y'all eagles. I've seen from a child, I've heard about Republic of Texas, and I didn't understand. I really didn't understand. But as I came down to know you guys, I seen the big heart. You see what I'm saying? I seen the purpose. I seen y'all took a stand for freedom. We took a stand for liberty. And you don't see that today. And you went with the flow, with the good and the bad. I've seen standoffs, and I'm like, man, it's another standoff. The Republic of Texas. I'm like, wow. But you guys exemplified that you had the right heart. And you had a motive, a purpose, and a commitment. And that's, it was an honor to sit down and just be here today among you guys, because all my life I heard about Republic of Texas. And now I see the hearts. I see the commitment, I see the purpose, and some things that I can share. I deal with the system since 1990. I've seen the ups and downs. And I didn't know. I didn't do things. I don't sue people or make claims on people because it's convenient. Normally, if I make a claim or something, it's because they are trying to mess with the truth of the matter. And Scripture says, "Put no one above that which is what? True." So I didn't care who it was. If I had to file claims against court or judge, hey, evidently he didn't do the truth. So, hey, I found ways to. I've basically hired over 45 to 50 attorneys. They either quit or I fired them. No disrespect. It's just that I knew I had truth. But just because I had truth, it did not give me the right to disrespect another human being. Freedom of will. God gives us a freedom of will. So that's why I came and I was asked to speak, and hey, it was an honor to come out and speak. But there are some things that I'm doing now to help put this in paper form to show you how to hold the system accountable. One of the things I'm going to share before I go, end it up, one thing I want to share with you, always hold them accountable in writing. If you go back to Matthew chapter 4, how did Christ deal with the adversary? He kept him to what? What was written. Even the devil tried to come with a little Bible. He said, well, it's written again. He kept him to what was written. People tell you things over the phone. They tell you things in the system. You say, hey, could you put that in writing? And they'll go, whoa, and send me a copy. And they'll say, well, hold up. Well, how about if I put it in writing and send you a certified copy? Now you're going to get a whole different reaction. Because when you ask them to put it in writing, that's a sign of accountability. They don't, when somebody's lying to you, they do not want to put it in writing. That's just a principle. If you apply that principle when you're doing business with people, you'll have a whole different response. That's just one. There's so many things that I've learned by being baptized. I've been baptized all kind of ways. I've been interviewed on CNN by Anderson Cooper, Fox 4 International, Channel 8 News. If you see my character, I was never negative. Never. I just stuck with the truth. And by sticking with the truth, they had no defense. And so I just kept having documentation, and talking to people, powers to be. And they talk to me just like we talk. But they know I don't disrespect them because I know who they're working with. You see what I'm saying? They're working with powers to be. And a lot of times those guys don't come out. They kind of hide behind the curtain. Everybody knows the movie called The Wizard of Oz. He was very scared until Toto found out he was behind the curtain. Okay? He was like, oh. And then he started giving them what? Answers. And Dorothy went home. The lion got a heart. No, the lion got courage. the tin man got a heart. And the straw man got a brain. See, results. So again, I just want to say, I think you guys are very honorable. And I see you doing great things. But if I can share some things that I know and understand and put together some things to help you get results, because I guarantee you, we all got issues in this system. And that's why everybody is here today. That's why I see the hearts, because y'all took a stand. And if I can help in any way, feel free. And I'm thinking, I keep getting dressed for this and this here. And saying, put something together, just a look, so they can kind of follow the steps and go from there. And then, but the bottom line, you're looking for what? Results. If you're not getting results, it's a reason. Okay? But if y'all have any questions for me, feel free at this time. Yes, ma'am.
What kind of questions are we allowed to ask? Anything about business? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm new.
So they always have to give me the rules.
Okay.
I'm Darlene Ramos,
Okay.
and I live here in outside of Cleburne.
Mm-hmm.
I have an issue that I've been trying to figure it out. This corporation called, and it was concerning my timeshare.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that we like to use your timeshare for $2,000. We are going to use your timeshare, and within not long, you should be getting $7,000 a year because we're going to rent your timeshare. And I paid him $2,000. And then in return, whatever the timeshare was, he was supposed to give me a cut of it. So I was supposed to call them, and they give me a list of clients that needed dates for my timeshare. Well, the first year I would call, and they would give me the dates, and I would call my timeshare, and nothing would never pan through. The second year, same thing, nothing would pan through. I didn't get anything. So the third year, they wouldn't answer the phone. And when I finally would get somebody, I said, well, now we agreed, and I have it in writing, that you are supposed to give me the dates and I'm supposed to call you back. And they said, well, we're waiting for some more clients. Well, the fourth year, they didn't answer the phone at all. Sometimes they picked up by mistake. And they said that, well, business is slow, and we're not getting anybody to give us any dates. So I said, well, you all promised that I would be making all this money. I haven't made a cent. So now I think they have either gone out of business, or I don't even know where they are now. So I believe the lobbyists protect people like that, because you can't get anything out of them, and if you take them to court, they will say that they're not liable, whatever. Is there any way?
Yes, let me answer that. Did you sign a contract?
Yes.
Okay, you have a copy of the contract?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of times, it's all under contract law. Key is they told you, those things they told you, did you look to see if that was in the contract?
Yes.
Okay. So if they told you that becomes a breach of contract. Remember, everything is under contract law in commerce. A lot of times I'll see people entering the contracts, they don't even know they entered into a contract just by agreeing or talking. You enter into contracts, and once they get that contract, they exercise that. But see, here's a breach of contract. So what you do, you send them a letter, certified mail, a copy of the contract attached to it. Put the certified mail number on the letter, and then you state your facts, and then you say they have 72 hours to contest these facts, and you support it with an affidavit that's been executed and witnessed by an independent notary. When you send it to me, you also said if you haven't heard from them within 72 hours of receipt, then you will file an application concerning your estate. It's always about your estate. File an application supported by affidavit for a declaration. It's like you already have the facts, but it's like you're now going to substantiate with a declaration. You never put defendant, a plaintiff, or defendant. You're the applicant. You're all caps. It's in the matter. You're all caps. That's your estate. And you have an application supported by affidavit for a declaration. Now, in your application, they become respondents. And you sign as a responsible party and hold it in due course. You never just sign it because you're dealing with a straw man that acts as a person, as a corporation of the District of Columbia. The all caps is your estate. That's British owned. Okay, so what you do when you send that and put that down, guess what's going to happen? It's already, you send it to them first, certified mail. Now it becomes an agreed judgment. So therefore, you just move in to have it substantiated. They have nothing to say. Once you get that judgment, then you take that order and file that in the deed of records in the county. And once you file it in the county, because it's the county deed of records acts as a title deed. It's a deed of trust. Once you get that order, now you can put a lien against them. You can put them on notice in the amount, and then you can foreclose on them for the amount that they said that you would get.
Okay, well, might be a silver lining because I looked them up on the Bureau of Better Business Bureau, and they had been taken to or whatever, and they said under that so many cases had been settled, so somebody know what to do.
Oh yeah, once you put that in writing and get the order, believe me, it's a done deal. Because once you put them on proper notice and they don't respond, it becomes an agreed judgment, just like a default under tacit law. It's called TACIT. It becomes an agreement now. So therefore, you don't need nothing else. You just go and file your application, have the green card, so I serve them, they didn't respond, judge said, where's the order? And the judge gonna sign off on the order. That's it. Anybody else? Did that answer your question?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, all
That
right.
answered my question. I
Okay.
think there's hope.
Okay, great. Anybody else?
Mr. Ford, the one that he's the one that's biggest in trouble.
Well, he's the fighter. Okay, yes, sir, Mr. Ford.
Mr. Gross, I got a letter several months ago from a guy that's in jail in Kerrville, and he said that he was put in jail. They took his minor daughter, that he's an heir to like $91 million around Hunt, that country out there, and they took his daughter away from him and got him in jail. Now, I don't know what else is involved. Somebody turned him in or what, he said, he asked them where she was, and they said, North Carolina or Kentucky, I think. He said, if I go out there and they're not there, I'm coming back with a militia and I'm going to find y'all. Well, I think they considered that a terroristic threat. I don't know that, but they got him in jail. The guy seems, by writing his letters, he's trying his best to get out, but he hasn't had any luck. Is there any chance that guy could, anything we could do for him?
First of all, y'all can act. It's called a tribunal. Anytime you have three people, it's a tribunal. I actually had the DA of Dallas, an ex-judge, and the attorney do a tribunal. And what you do a tribunal and you file on behalf of his estate. And once you file on behalf of his estate, you say they have compromised his estate. And because of the fact they violated his constitutional rights, they kidnapped him, he haven't been tried, he didn't go before the court. I had a lady one time, to give you an example, her husband was a CPA, and he actually stole $1 million. and he was trying to hide it in the ceiling, and I think he fell through the sheetrock. but the key is the house is like a $77,000 house. But this is what happened. They actually picked him up, and he told her father where the money was, and he told them, and they got that. But she worked at Southwest, and she worked with disadvantaged kids, no arms, no legs, and she had all the money. She graduated from Southwest, and she had about $104,000 in the bank, and she went to use her card, her 2 kids and her mom, and Golden Corral, and it didn't work. So she goes to the bank the next day, and the bank said, well, they got a lien on your account, the U.S. Marshals. So what I did, she had called, now before she called me, her uncle called me. She had already called an attorney, and he wanted to charge her. So you got $104,000. I want half. He wanted $52,000 to get her money, supposedly. And so her uncle knew me, so he called me, said, can you help? I said, yeah. So for minimum, way less, I said, okay, I did an affidavit, did a notice. I served the court, Fort Worth, I served the bank and the president, and for that branch. And after 3 days, we went up there. And I said, you got the money? And I said, well, where's the president? Oh, he no longer works at this branch. I said, really? I said, well, it's not him. The money's in the bank. And I said, hey, so she stuck her hand up and went to walk away. So I called 911. 911 came up. I said, hey, they unlawfully holding this money. They have no court order. She never went to court. Boom, 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 boom. So while we walking back out to get a police report, the banker president drove up. I said, oh, I thought you wasn't at this branch anymore. Somebody called him. He said, oh, Mr. Rose, I think it's going to be in her favor. I already talked to the attorneys. It's going to be in her favor. So we go back in. They said, come back tomorrow at 10 o'clock. We have her money. Came back at 10 o'clock. They said, well, come back at 2 o'clock. We had it. But when we got to the house, guess who was in the front yard? The U.S. Marshals, a realtor, and a locksmith. And so I said, go into the garage and we'll come out the front. And we came out the front and said, hey, I said, we served after, so U.S. Marshal stuck his foot in the door saying, you need to get out of the way. So client was yesterday. I said, okay, go and sit down. I said, what's going on? They don't have to pay us $4,000 to stay in this house. I said, $4,000? I said, they bought the land, had the house built. They only paid $2,800 a month. He said, well, and then so U.S. Marshal, he ain't got to tell you nothing, but he never touched me. He was kind of like, I never looked at it. I looked at it, I said, show me the contract. So I looked at it and I said, excuse me. He moved out of the way. I went up, told her to sign. Did the UCC, then signed it, then gave it to her. But how we gonna get the money? I said, the bank said they're gonna, how can I say, I'll bring it. The bank said they're gonna need to move the honey at 2 o'clock. So he gets on the phone and called the bank. Y'all don't let that? See, it was all a setup, right? So, boom. So when he did that, we went up there and I said, hey, could you do me a cashier's check for $4,000? And they cut a cash check, give him money. And so I took it up there. And U.S. Marshal said, I said, hey, I got the check for you. But when she saw the check, I had a stamp, UCC, and I stamped it all over. And I gave it to her and I said, here it is, but you can't do nothing with it. So what I did, the next day, I filed in the county court in law and did that. So the key is, though, they have kidnapped him and they're holding him for ransom. But at the same token, they call it a terrorist threat, but he is the live man. They are holding him under that all caps and basically have kidnapped him. So you have to do an affidavit and you can do a tribunal and 3 witnesses and say if they violated his rights, kidnap him, blah, 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 blah. File it with the clerk of the county. If they went to a magistrate, then you have to file it with the magistrate. Once you file that with the clerk, supported with an affidavit, tribunal, 3 signatures, you give them X amount of days, 3 days, and let him go. If they don't let him go, then you file your application. It becomes an agreed judgment. And then they call it habeas corpus, but no, they don't even want to. I've gotten people out of jail, they like they was never in there. Because once I file the affidavit, and another thing I want to say is here, who filed the complaint? Who's the complainant? You've got to have a complainant. 2, it's got to be an affidavit, and if he didn't get a chance to challenge that affidavit, that's a violation. You have a right to face your accusers, period. So they're unlawfully holding him because they're trying to hold him as terrorist, and if he's an heir, then you know, as a federal conviction, he loses everything. Okay, so it's ways that you can do that, and they believe me, they let him go. It got to a point where when I go in and I ask for the affidavit, oh no, we got him, he's gonna be happy, he's gonna be happy. And they would let him out, and they act like they don't sign nothing, they don't do anything. They just let him out the door, say, hey, I ain't get a chance to sign nothing. They want to act like he was never in there, period. Another thing too, I'll go to the sheriff and ask for an accounting. Remember, debts and credits. A lot of times when you're in jail, they get 3 for 1 or 2 for 1. You know, Dallas do you 3 for 1. Tarrant do 2 for 1. Then do 2 for 1. And I go and say, hey, could you give me an accounting? I say, yeah. I say, this guy was in jail before on the same problem. When I get that accounting, I say, why y'all got him in jail? Y'all owe him. What's he still in? Then I go to the DA, ask for an investigator. Investigator, why is he in jail? Guess what they do? They go let him out. It's all about the accounting. That's what people don't understand. And there's some things that I can show you to do for his entity that can make you a fiduciary of his own caps. And that's a Form 56. But yes, you can do that. Go ahead, yes, sir.
He in one of his letters, and I've got I don't know if I have it on this computer, but I have it on, I have it somewhere, and I've got the file of all his letters that he hand wrote me.
Yes, sir.
And one of those letters, he wanted to give everything he has to the Republic of Texas to get him out of there and to get his daughter back. So, I mean, I'm not after the money, but he made a declaration in writing, his own handwriting, to be a taxi.
I got a couple of guys. Once you deal with the accounting, they're going to let him out. But once they know, remember, they're not letting him out because they helping him. They letting him out because they're in a position of accountability.
Yeah, they can't be called.
That's exactly right. Their biggest fear is exposure.
Yeah.
So what you do when you send that letter, you've got to say private and confidential. And they would do it. I filed on attorneys. I mean, they were both found guilty of misconduct and asked me to keep it private and confidential. I said, oh, they get into a private reprimand. I said, well, what about my money? Well, we ain't got nothing to do with that. Oh, I filed for my health? Okay. So it's things that I do now that, well, they would credit my account. Okay. They would credit you. Never ask for money. Always ask for credit. Always. And give them wiring instructions to your bank. Period. Okay? But I can get with you on that, and we can get him out. How long has he been in there?
I expect probably a couple of months, at least. Wow. It's, the man's pretty desperate to get out. And I mean, from what I can read, he hadn't done anything that I would do.
You know what? It's some things I'm going to talk to you about. It's a thing about setting up a website, and it's going to be a website that says private and confidential. When they get that and look at the website, believe me, they'll let him out real quick. Because you kind of got to educate them and let them know that you know. Because if they know you don't know, you just sheep led to the slaughter. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with right or wrong. It's all about their motives. Their motives, they'll never get past their nature. And if they're looking at the money, they just sitting there to see what he's going to do. There's some things I can show you to hurry him out. And I'm going to ask, who's the accused? who's the injured party and who's the complainant. You can't produce those two and show me the affidavit that has him in jail. Where's the affidavit?
Can I write that to the sheriff or jailer or whoever else? Can I?
Well, that's what I need to know. Did they go in front of a magistrate? What did they do? They go to FBI. If it was the FBI or the police, they had to have an affidavit, and they have to have a complainant and an affidavit. If they don't have the injured party and the affidavit supporting it, they have no claim. Now it becomes a kidnapping charge.
Can anybody ask for those documents?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If I can get your help, I'll do that.
Oh, yes, sir. I mean, it would be a pleasure to help you because it's just an injustice.
Yeah.
Or I would always put down on my paper for liberty, freedom, and justice for all without discrimination. Because on the accounting, they are being biased, prejudiced, and discriminatory. But you got to look at it as the accounting. They don't look at it as us, right and wrong, in the flesh and the natural man. They're looking at the money, debts, and credits. And do you know the affidavit is the highest form of judgment in commerce?
Yes, sir.
And if you hit the right person, then I guarantee you, and you always serve the office. Office is agents, assignees, associates, at all. And that covers, Little Rover, the Chihuahua, the German Shepherd. Okay, so you gotta understand, you're dealing with a corporation and they're private and they're operating under a different authority. Remember, people always talk about jurisdiction. It's not the jurisdiction. I'm gonna say this here. The devil has jurisdiction, doesn't he?
That's right.
It's the authority. And when Adam and Eve disobeyed, they became subject matters. And that's still happening today. Remember, principles don't change. People, places, and things change every day. Principles don't change. If you apply the principles, then God will give the increase every time. I mean, it's just what it is.
Well, I would love to help this man, and not just him, but any Texian that happens to fall that way. I'm looking for remedy for all of us.
Maybe we can put together a format, like a standards, and then you can apply them. Because my biggest problem is only one of me. But if you have the right hearts, I would be willing to put some things together that you can use. Because once you understand the structure, you can apply it to everything. Once you have truth, and you understand how to properly administer the truth, then the lie will move around every time. It's just, it goes back to simplicity. It's not complicated. Okay? It's just simplicity. It's how do I administer the truth to the point that I'm liberated and I get results. That's it. That's the key. But I'd be more than happy to assist you.
I'd be most grateful for me and him.
Hey, I think so too. You would enjoy getting out. I know. Okay, anybody else has a question? Yes, sir.
There's a young lady. There's a young lady that used to be a member of this group. She was married to a guy, I can't remember what country he was from.
Columbia.
Where?
Columbia.
Colombia. And he went to the bank and borrowed money against her property. And then he hauled ass to Colombia. And they took her house and her land and kicked her out.
Hey, I want to share something with you.
Pardon me?
I'm going to share something with you. If you write the IRS on a 3949A, it's like a whistleblower, and you ask the IRS to produce the 1099A, it's called a 1099A, be it acquisition or abandonment. If you look on that 1099A, it is showed that she was the secured party and that they were the debtor. 2 is the guy was operating under foreign authority. You can't take property from that account. But the problem is that they participated in taking her property. And so the key is the accountability falls back on the trustees. Now I'm going to tell you who the trustees are. If we two Americans get into it and we drop the charges, you always hear who picked it up? The state picked it up. So they have a, what you call a fiduciary responsibility as a trustee. You have to hold back and file the claim with the state through the office of the governor. Do your affidavit, do a notice, and guess